Welcome back to Movies Unboxed, where we rip open the cinematic packaging and unleash the chaos inside. Today's feature: Nazi Navy soldiers, a rogue British captain, and enough sarcasm to sink a battleship. Buckle up, because this recap is coming at you faster than a torpedo in the Atlantic. Picture this: a group of Nazi Navy soldiers cruising the vast Atlantic, feeling all smug and invincible. On the other side of the tension-filled horizon, we have Captain Gus March Phillips and his buddy Lassen, two undercover British agents with more guts than sense. They're just chilling on their boat, probably wondering if they should have picked a less Nazi-infested spot for their vacation. Enter the Nazi commander, whose hobbies apparently include ruining people's day and terrible interrogation techniques. Lassen, ever the smooth talker, claims he's from Sweden, which is code for, "Please, just leave me alone." But nope, the commander and his merry men of doom decide to crash their party, demanding passports and making sure the British aren't planning a sneaky escape. Gus, with the kind of calm only someone with a death wish can muster, says they're just on a little holiday, sailing, sunbathing, trying not to get shot. You know, the usual. After some tense document checking, probably not helped by the fact that Lassen's fake Swedish accent sounds like a mix between a bad IKEA commercial and a moose, Lassen decides to offer the commander some food. Great idea, because nothing says, "I'm totally not a spy," like offering a snack to the guy who's about to light you on fire. The commander, whose temper is shorter than the boat ride they're on, gets even more riled up. He orders Gus and Lassen to surrender, which they do, sort of, hands raised, but not before exchanging a laugh about shooting each other. Because apparently, that's what passes for humor when you're inches from being roasted alive. The commander, now officially the worst dinner guest ever, orders his men to douse the boat in gasoline. And just to make sure the mood stays nice and ominous, he starts recounting the tale of some other poor souls who didn't fare too well when they tried defying him. But before we can get too deep into this bedtime horror story, a hidden British soldier, Hayes, pops out and starts taking out Nazis like he's in an action movie. Oh wait, he is. Not sure it's working, Lassen, Hayes says, probably annoyed that he had to do all the heavy lifting while the others were busy joking about getting shot. "Freddy, good work," says Lassen, though it's unclear if he's congratulating him on killing Nazis or just for showing up. Meanwhile, Frederick's all like, Gus, care to explain why we're playing Hunger Games with Nazis in the middle of the ocean?" This prompts Gus to launch into a flashback, because every good spy needs a tragic backstory, right? We're whisked away to 25 days earlier, where the British Prime Minister is having a real, "we're screwed" moment with Major M and Ian Fleming. They watch in despair as Hitler steamrolls through Europe like a bad sequel no one asked for. But there's a glimmer of hope. America has promised to help, but those pesky U-boats are making sure supplies can't get through. The Prime Minister, in his infinite wisdom, says, "Let's keep this mission off the books." Translation: if you get caught, we'll deny you faster than you can say blitzkrieg. Cut to the Secret Operations Executive, where M is briefing Fleming and two intelligence agents, Miss Stewart and Heron. M drops the bombshell: their secret weapon is Captain Gus March Phillips. There's just one tiny problem: he's currently behind bars. No biggie, right? Stewart and Heron are all about hope, though, so they bring Gus in and brief him on Operation Postmaster. Here's the deal: Gus has to neutralize some German U-boats by taking down the Duesada, a vital link in their supply chain, currently chilling at the West African island of Fernando Po. Easy peasy, except they've got only 44 days to pull it off. Gus, who's either incredibly brave or terminally insane, insists on handpicking his team. First up, Hayes, a guy with a serious vendetta against Nazis, probably because they killed his brother. Then there's Fred, a frogman, which is not as cute as it sounds. Gus rounds out the team with Lassen, a dude who apparently spent his childhood battling bears and elks, like some kind of wilderness warrior. But wait, there's more. Gus insists on including Appleyard, a chess grandmaster who's also a master strategist. Without him, Gus says he wouldn't be standing here, probably because Appleyard has saved his bacon more times than he can count. The only hiccup? Appleyard's been captured by Nazis and is currently residing in a cozy Nazi prison in La Palma. Gus, with the kind of optimism that only comes from watching too many action movies, insists on rescuing him on the way to their mission. No big deal, right? As if that's not enough, Stewart's military training and Heron's business acumen make them invaluable additions to the team. Plus, Stewart can sing and act, because why not throw in a little musical number while taking down the Third Reich? Back to the present, Gus lays out his master plan to rescue Appleyard. They decide to proceed under the cover of night, classic spy move. But as they approach the Nazi camp, they realize that waiting for darkness might be a one-way ticket to Appleyard's funeral. So, with the kind of logic that makes you question whether they skipped spy school, they decide to strike immediately. But, surprise, two guards spot them. Lassen, never one to miss an opportunity to play the hero, swiftly takes them down like he's done this 100 times before. And with that, it's go time. In the bustling port of Fernando Po, where chaos is practically an art form, our beloved duo, Stuart and Heron, strut onto the scene like they own the place. They're greeted by an unexpected parade of men, tugboats, and the crew of the Duchessa, who seem to have multiplied overnight. Because nothing says, welcome, like an overwhelming number of sweaty sailors. Heron, ever the unflappable genius, immediately locks onto a shifty character named Lure. He whispers to Stuart, with the gravitas of a man who's seen it all, that Lure is even more treacherous than the Nazis. Quite a statement, but hey, hyperbole is the spice of life. Heron assigns Stuart the dubious honor of keeping Lure entertained, because who wouldn't want to spend quality time with a man described as treacherous? In a plot twist that surprises no one, Heron dives into some shady deal-making, negotiating for warehouse crates like they're the last Twinkies on Earth. But Stuart, channeling her inner business tycoon, swoops in with a significantly lower offer. Because why pay more when you can insult someone's intelligence with a lowball? Using her impeccable business acumen, she convinces Lure that taking a higher percentage would be as beneficial as a kick in the shins for both parties. When Lure, naturally suspicious, asks about her identity, Heron nonchalantly introduces Stuart as his esteemed contact from New York, which sounds fancy but really means nothing. Armed with charm, wit, and the ability to speak fluent German, because why not? Stuart manages to sway Lure with promises of excitement and profit, two things every villain with a bad haircut can't resist. Lure, duly impressed by her fluency and her ability to solve a riddle, which might have been something along the lines of, why is this even happening? Agrees to join forces. As the deal is sealed, Stuart exits stage left, leaving Lure to ponder over her enigmatic departure like she's the protagonist in a noir film. Heron, not one to miss an opportunity to dampen spirits, reminds Stuart of Lure's general awfulness, sending a shiver down her spine. But with Heron's unwavering support, read, vague pep talk, she musters up the courage to face whatever nonsense lies ahead. Enjoyed the chaos and camaraderie? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our next wild adventure. Meanwhile, in a subplot that seems ripped from a spy novel rejected by publishers, Appleyard, the walking cliché of insider knowledge, provides Gus and his comrades with the quickest escape route from both British warships and German OTS. It's like the Amazing Race, but with more explosives and fewer commercial breaks. Elsewhere, at Lure's casino, a den of iniquity where the drinks are watered down and the stakes are always high, Heron abandons Stuart to navigate a tense encounter between Captain Benna and a waiter named Faye. Because nothing screams teamwork like throwing your partner into the lion's den while you sip a cocktail in the corner. Lure, not content with mere riddles, decides to test Stuart's moral compass by quizzing her about her stance on dealings with Jews. With the tact of a diplomat and the flexibility of a politician, Stuart plays along, earning Lure's favor and paving the way for what we're optimistically calling a friendship. As they grow closer, Heron, who's clearly taken a shine to this whole let's throw a party idea, suggests a bash to celebrate their newfound alliance. Because that's what you do when you bond with a treacherous villain, right? In a stunning turn of events that no one saw coming, except literally everyone, Stuart and Heron rush to relay critical information about Duchessa's earlier departure to Gus and the Secret Operations Executive HQ. Unfortunately, this top-secret message is intercepted by a mole within the SOE who passes it to Fleming, who then reports to M. Yes, M. The mole, as all moles inevitably do, tips off Admiral Pond about the covert mission, setting off alarm bells back at the base. Because if there's one thing that makes a mission more exciting, it's a well-placed mole. With just 12 days remaining until their arrival in Fernando Po, because deadlines are the enemy of suspense, London is rocked by a devastating German bombardment. The city shakes, metaphorically and literally, as the Prime Minister, sensing the turmoil, addresses his valiant soldiers who are about to embark on a mission that has "bad idea" written all over it. 2 days out from Fernando Po, Gus and his team are suddenly intercepted by a British warship. Faced with the futility of evasion, Gus decides to stop playing hide and seek and braces for confrontation. The major in charge warns them of potential international repercussions, because apparently, international incidents are frowned upon, and reveals that Admiral Pond has ordered them to halt their advance. Just when things are about to get really messy, a U-boat conveniently shows up, diverting the warship's attention and giving Gus and his crew the perfect chance to slip away. Because sometimes, in life, your best friend is a well-timed distraction. The next day, Heron introduces Stuart to Camp Billy, the Prince of Fernando Po, whose English education at Eton has apparently filled him with an air of entitlement thicker than London fog. But Stuart, armed with more charm than a snake oil salesman, soon wins him over, convincing him to join forces against the common enemy. In a display of prowess that would make any action hero proud, Stuart shows off her skills with various firearms, earning Billy and Heron's trust. Because nothing says trustworthy like being able to shoot things with precision. As Gus and Billy establish a rendezvous point, they bond over the fact that Billy used to be the captain of Eton's cricket team. Gus, apparently inspired by the camaraderie, lays out a plan to the Nazi U-boat in the North Atlantic by targeting the Duchessa and its escort tugs. The odds are, of course, stacked against them, but Billy, ever the pragmatist, is intrigued. However, he's also skeptical about the Duchessa being fully visible due to its abundant lighting. Gus reassures him, promising that Heron will handle the lights, because Heron is apparently now an expert in electrical sabotage. As night falls, Heron readies the explosives to darken the night, while Stewart, ever the worrier, frets for his safety. Heron, undeterred by her concern, urges her to focus on her task of bringing Lure to the party. Because priorities, right? When Gus offers Billy payment for his assistance, Billy, channeling his inner aristocrat, rebuffs him, valuing a title bestowed by His Majesty's government over mere money. Accepting the offer in exchange for a knightly title, Billy returns the cash with the flourish of a man who knows his worth. Meanwhile, Heron, now in full spy mode, plants the bomb in the lights control room, only to encounter 3 Nazis who, predictably, threaten him. But Heron, never one to be outdone, employs his secret weapon and swiftly neutralizes the threat. Because why wouldn't he have a secret weapon? As evening falls, Gus and his comrades await the cover of darkness, observing 2 separate parties, one for officers and another for soldiers. Stewart, escorted by Lure, joins the festivities, while Heron distracts Captain Armanda with the help of a prostitute, because apparently, that's how things are done. Stewart seeks out Heron, who informs her of the high-ranking officers present and instructs her to engage Lure. Despite Lure's initial discontent, Stewart assures him of a special performance, which we can only hope doesn't involve karaoke. Their conversation takes a serious turn when the Duchessa's owner interrupts, revealing Lure's alterations to make the ship unsinkable. Alarmed, Stewart rushes to inform Heron, urging him to halt the mission. Heron, in turn, implores Stewart to keep Lure occupied while he attempts to intervene with Gus. As the lights dim, Gus prepares to initiate the mission, only to be stopped by Appleyard, who alerts them to Heron's attempts to warn them. Sending a message acknowledging the Duchessa's changes, Gus orders his team to stand by for further instructions, leaving everyone on the edge of their seats, or, more likely, just thoroughly confused. So, Admiral Pond, the guy with the perpetual frown and a flair for dramatic confrontations, decides to get all high and mighty. He threatens Gus with a tribunal, which sounds fancy but basically means you're in trouble. But Gus, being the poster child for never say die, just waves Pond off and tells his crew to get on with their top-secret mission. Prime Minister's also on board, clearly in denial about the gravity of the situation, or just really enjoying Gus's rebellious streak. As the team preps for their Mission Impossible adventure, things get messy. Appleyard, the brains of the operation, or so he claims, comes up with a plan so daring it might just make Hollywood directors weep with envy. The plan? Rig the boat's anchor, sabotage the fuel supply, and leave the Nazis wondering if they're on a really bad cruise. Because, apparently, normal sabotage is too mainstream. Gus, channeling his inner taskmaster, delegates roles like he's picking teams for dodgeball. S is on patrol duty, Hayes is the muscle, Frederick is playing with explosives, and Lassen gets the dubious honor of dealing with the Duchessa's crew. Meanwhile, Billy, who's clearly in this for the thrill of it all, reluctantly agrees to help and preps his tugboats. Stewart, the undercover singer with a voice that could either lull you to sleep or get you to spill state secrets, distracts the officers. Gus's team, with the stealth of a ninja and the coordination of a circus troupe, executes their mission with a mix of precision and chaos. As Stewart serenades the enemy, chaos ensues. Nazis are dispatched, anchors are rigged, and Appleyard's crew is on the Duchessa, creating a ruckus that could give the loudest rock concert a run for its money. There's a lot of shooting, shouting, and general mayhem. Frederick is blowing up things with gusto, and Lassen is having a jolly good time rigging the anchor. Meanwhile, Lure, the enemy bigwig who apparently skipped charm school, gets suspicious of Stewart. He's like the worst dinner date ever, obsessing over her true identity instead of just enjoying the evening. But before he can act on his paranoia, the fuel depot goes up in flames. Cue the dramatic explosion that makes fireworks look like sparklers. In the midst of the inferno, Gus and his team continue their explosive show, dispatching Nazis like it's Black Friday. Hayes gets shot, but, ever the trooper, insists on continuing. Frederick, playing paramedic, whisks him away like a hero in a daytime soap. Heron, another member of the gang, faces off against Lure in a showdown that's part action movie, part circus. Stewart, using her disguise powers, outwits Lure and sends him packing with a well-placed shot. As Heron swoops in to rescue her, Gus and Billy prepare to escape, only to be met by the surprise guest, a patrol boat. But no worries, it's just Heron and Stewart, back from their not-so-leisurely cruise. As the mission wraps up, they return to their warship, only to be hit with the news of a tribunal. Yep, for defying Admiral Pond, they're getting the bureaucratic equivalent of a timeout. Billy's sent back to his island and Gus, ever the diplomat, thanks him like he's the hero of the story. Weeks later, They're summoned to military prison, where the prime minister, who apparently has a sense of humor, acknowledges their indiscretions and throws them a lunch. He's all good job, but don't do it again, and then hires them on the spot. Because, obviously, defying orders and blowing up stuff is exactly what he needs. As the credits roll, we learn that Stuart and Gus have tied the knot, proving that not only did they survive their explosive adventure, but they also managed to find love in the chaos. The film ends on a high note, celebrating the team's achievements with a touch of romance and a wink at their truly absurd story. And there you have it, folks. Another roller coaster of a recap on movies Unboxed.